that black disappears, these are my favorite pens. Once the black disappears, it's hit and miss. And if you have the tip deployed and you drop it on a hard surface, it's done. And it's okay. Okay, good evening, everybody. Today is Tuesday, June 20th, 2023. Welcome to the City of Kingston Planning Board. Introductions first. My name is Wayne Platt Jr. I'm the chairman. We also have Matt Gillis, Sage Newkirk, Andrew Harris, and Kyra Grundig, and Suzanne Cahill is the planning director. Kyla Dede is the assistant planner. Some housekeeping notes before. Usually I'm telling people to come into the conference rooms for having conversations. So if there's any conversations that need to be had, they can go to the council chambers and have that. Bathrooms are through the council chambers by the conference room, and take a left to the other one. So the men's and women's rooms are over there. And in case of emergency, we're going to exit down the staircase and not use the elevator. Okay, that was simple. Yeah, yeah. And also everybody's cell phones have been silenced. You can do that too. Yeah. Please. We are live streaming. Item number 1 is adoption of the May 15th, 2023 Planning Board meeting minutes and transcripts. Everybody's received a copy of them. Does anybody have any questions or deletions or additions on them? Okay, seeing none, I'll make a motion that we adopt them. Do I have a second? Second by Matt Gillis. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Okay, moving into public hearings. Item number 2 is 625 Broadway. A special permit renewal for a gasoline station. Section block and lot is 56.109-3-15.100. Secret determination. Zone C2, Broadway Overlay District, Ward 4. Cameron Khan is the applicant. Cheatham King LLC are the owners. Is there anybody in this room wishing to speak about item number 2? Come up to the, yeah. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good. Can you state your name for the record, please?
Fine.
Nice to see you.
So I bring my daughter, Nadia Khan, and her husband, they're managing over there.
Okay,
So they get used to operating in case when next time if I'm,
okay,
not
good.
there.
It's always good to have the bullpen ready to go. Yeah. All right, so the original special permit was issued for 4 years and, well, the most recent, I'm sorry, was for 4 years in June of 2019. Since then, the city's done some realignment of Broadway and Henry Street, right?
Yeah.
Everything's been good with that?
Yeah, I'm good with this. The only problem in the beginning we have it is like everybody cutting, from the Henry Street or Broadway Street through my property. Which I mentioned it to the chief of police,
Okay.
we tried our best. It's kind of died down right now.
Okay.
There are a few here and there they're gonna do this. But other than that,
So realigning that intersection didn't help with cutting through it, you increased it, you think?
it's increased because
Okay.
before, now they have to go through the light.
Right,
And, sometime if the right line is going straight, then you can make a right turn, without
Right.
waiting for the green light. So they try to cut it, so they, before, there was an exit, without going to the light to make a right from Henry
right.
to here. So, but it's relatively is getting a little bit better, than before, Try to educate people.
And any changes since the last time you were here with operations wise, anything? No? I see we have no issues with building safety division, so that's good. Incident reports from the police department, a large number of calls at this location, but that just could be stuff that happens on the street, they need a location.
So I'm trying to make sure that no loitering going on in my property, you know.
Yep.
It's just this. That's pretty much.
Okay. Any questions from the board? All right, all right, so under seeker, this is a type 2 action, so no further review of the board is required at this time. Do we feel that another 4-year from this, or
Go longer, 5, I think, it's
Okay.
fine.
everybody good with that? 5? Okay. So we'll go with a 5-year term, and if ownership changes, then the new owners would have to come to the next meeting, so, all right?
Yeah.
Okay, so at this time, I'll make a motion that we approve item number 2 for a period of 5 years with all original conditions carried forward. Do I have a second? Matt Gillis with a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Khan. Folks, good seeing you.
Yeah,
I believe Lanny's up there. I believe Lanny's up there. Lanny? No? Oh, okay. Okay. It's him.
I did 2 initially. All right, 608. Item number 3 is 336 Broadway. Special permit renewal to operate an automotive repair facility. Section block and lot is 56.26-11-12. Here.
Here. Up to you whether you want to talk about it now or skip the.
Yeah, so it was an issue, right? It's an issue?
We okay with it?
Yeah.
Okay, it's, section block and lot is 56.26-11-12, seeker determination, zone C2, Broadway overlay district, Ward 9. Robert Kerrigan is the applicant owner. I don't think anybody's here from the public to speak on that. So the most recent renewal was in June of 2019 for a period of 4 years. And
Confirm, Steph can confirm the hours, but I'm
Okay.
sure there's been no changes. He didn't indicate any.
all right. There's some issues here though, you see that, or no? There's still-
We
still-
just had a question about the back property, about
Yeah.
storage of some materials. We can, I mean, it's up to you if you want.
Well, that was out building safety matter?
No, it was just visual,
Was it from plowing up or was it just?
no, it
Stone.
looks like storage of stone,
All right.
maybe for a project or just.
Well, we can make a note of that and send him on his communication when we approve that. That sound good? And they'll receive this verbiage on the vehicle storage and the zoning ordinances associated with it. Okay. No issues with building safety and minimal police incidents are listed. The staff good with 4 years again, or do you want to? Sound good? 4 years good for?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Did they take care of the landscape?
Talking about around the signage.
I see it here.
That was an original, that was in the original conditions.
Yeah.
But the sign post comes down right in the parking lot
Wow, okay.
between 2 spaces, so I
Alright.
don't think that there ever was landscaping there.
No.
Okay. All right, any questions from the board on this? All right, so under seeker, this again is a type 2 action, no further review of the board is required. This time we'll make a motion that we approve item number 4 for a period of 4 years with all original conditions carried forward and also sending a communication regarding the stone debris at the rear of the property. A second? Second by Sage. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Number 4 is a special permit renewal to operate an art gallery, section block and lot 56.42-7-15, secret determination, zone RT, it's in the Rondout Historic District. It's also in Heritage Area. Ward 8, Open Space LLC is the applicant owner. Nobody's here to speak from the public on this, I see. Do we need them here for this? Oh, okay. Come on, yeah. My apologies.
No, it's all good.
I guess I just wasn't sure which property you were here for.
That's the
All
one.
right. Okay, how are things? Good there?
Things are good.
Yeah, I mean, the photos look great.
Yeah.
Trying to remember what that looked like. What? Oh, yeah, state your name for the record too, please.
Match Quinn.
Okay.
Photos are looking good. That's a good
Oh,
sign.
Good.
Yeah, and,
Have you had some things going on there?
not yet, no. Trying to kind of get that going. Making sure the permit's all in order, but yeah,
Okay.
just kind of pop-up events from time to time, hoping to have that a little bit more.
Okay. I mean, it probably took you a little while to get it.
He's the new, he's the new owner.
Oh,
So
okay, the new owner, okay. Well, good. So the original permit was granted in 2022, July, for a period of 1 year, so. All right, any any changes with the,
No, it's
Okay.
gonna carry it over for now.
All right. Are we guided by a 1 year maximum on this, or?
No,
Okay. Any new owner, you want to go for 1 year on this, or?
I would say with a new owner, yeah, just the 1 year, and then when he comes back, if there's no issues, we'll extend it longer.
Everybody's good with that? Okay. Which is typically what we do.
Yeah,
With a new
no,
owner or applicant, we'll see how things go and they have to have
That's
some
right.
order, so. Okay. Under seeker, this is a type 2 action, so no further review of the board is required for this. At this time, I'll make a motion that we approve item number 4 for a period of 1 year with all original conditions carried forward. Do I have a second on that? Second by Matt. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much.
Have a good evening.
You too.
All right, item number 5 is 80 Beale Street, special permit to convert an existing building from 4 to 5 residential units. Section block and lot is 56.43-5-7, secret determination, zone RT, heritage area, or is it that H? Usually say HAC, is that?
Yeah. Heritage area.
Rondout Historic District, Ward 8, Ryan Bradley is the applicant owner. Anybody besides Mr. Bradley who wishes to speak on this item? I guess not. Okay, got it, fine. All right, Ryan Bradley and Scott Tutner here, welcome. All right, so give us a little overview of what you want to do.
You want to explain why it's taken so long to get to this one?
Doing a historical preservation with the state parks and federal parks.
Okay.
So we're going to restore the property back to original and,
Nice.
there's a shortage of apartments. We added one because there was a weird space with the layout.
Okay.
And Ryan's been involved in litigation with the neighbors for a number of years.
Was it property line stuff?
It was all.
Yeah. All right.
That's all resolved now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
You did receive the staff notes, wanted to discuss openly a couple of the items. I don't know if you had a chance to make a site visit, but there's an amazing backyard with a great views back there. So Ryan was questioning the need for the rec fees since he can provide the needs for all of the tenants. on site. It's a fantastic view of the creek from there, nice yard.
Well, we're gonna have to send that off to Parks and Rec, gonna have to weigh in. What do you think?
If he's asking for the waiver, I would get the opinion from the person, right? Yes, I think that's reasonable.
No, I get that, what you're saying.
So the other thing was the refuge, Ryan, in addition to being a general contractor, also does property management. And he manages a property down the street with 8 apartments. They have folks.
111, yeah.
Okay.
So that owner pays more to DPW for additional totes, but we're responsible for getting them out to the street and bringing them back in every week.
Well, you can say that the owner is gonna be responsible for removing trash from the site. Right, without city pickup or?
No, with
With
city,
city.
with city.
With
Oh,
city.
so
Yeah.
you need that here. Okay.
Yeah, which the tenant gets one, or the owner gets one, that one of them plus the recycling.
You
And
can have
then
as
they
many
buy,
recycling
right.
as you want.
You
It's
can
just
buy
you
more
buy the additional,
garbage
right.
ones, and it's an annual fee.
Okay.
And if you don't pay, they come and take that tote.
Okay. So have you planned about to buy additional totes?
Yeah, which is what we did at one.
Okay.
It's preferable to having a dumpster for sure.
Absolutely. Okay.
So where would you, so how many,
On
you're
the
gonna get
right.
like one for each unit, is that what your intent
It would
is?
probably be 4 because 4 and 5 apartment would be a studio, which I don't know that they would be filling with ground totes, so it would be 4.
Okay,
4 and 5 would share one. There's not 8 totes at 111.
okay,
We have 4.
and then so additionally recyclables and cardboard, how many of those do you have? So I'm just trying to get a sense of the total number of totes. that we're looking
It
at.
would probably be 4 garbage and 1 recycling and 1 cardboard.
I think one cardboard
Maybe
is
probably
sufficient.
need 2 cardboards.
I would think a couple.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say the one recycled is probably
What we
okay.
do at 111 is if there is an overflow, we come down and take it ourselves,
Okay,
just to
okay,
expedite and make our lives simpler.
The key with the cardboard is policing the breaking it down into small pieces,
Right.
calling Amazon,
yeah,
that kind of stuff.
And then they put pizza boxes in it, and they don't want pizza boxes. in
Yeah.
Recycling, and once it gets wet, actually cardboard isn't really recyclable.
Right.
So,
I'd sometimes try taking the lid off the pizza box and recycling that.
So
No grease
you-
is touched.
on the site then, you'll be storing them along, you said.
on the right side,
On the right side,
yeah,
okay,
Underneath the fire escape.
okay,
spot for it.
okay. And that's a walkway now, so it's paved, so you can,
yeah, it's a walkway gravel,
okay,
but we can pave it. It's-
okay. Or
If
pavers,
historic, that's us.
yeah,
So the thing on the parking and the rec fee, that we're about ready to release our drawings to New York State SHPO and the National Park Service. We won't have final comments from them for probably 90 days or more. They've been running long lately. But if we can get the 5 units approved, subject to either the rec fee or a waiver.
Well, we're going to discuss the waiver tonight for the parking because you're in proximity to a city lot there, so.
And then the new zoning ordinance, which is presumably going to be
Right.
adopted.
Yeah.
But I'm just putting it in context, that while he's anxious to get the 5 approved, we really can't do anything other than clean out there until we have the Part 2 approval from the National Park Service, which is probably 90 days out.
so this lot was originally tied to a lot across the street for parking initially, prior, I believe prior to your ownership maybe. And so it was not sold with that lot, you never owned
It
70
wasn't even,
to 77,
no,
okay,
actually, which I think now 2 different people, one person owns the lot, one person owns the house, so they
right.
sold it as 3 separate parcels.
That's why you need to tie these together when you do that with separate parcels. You have to have the deed restrictions and the easement agreements in place and recorded so that does not happen. And then properties cannot be sold off separately and then you end up with an issue.
And it happened such a long time ago, probably just.
Yeah, I mean, this prior to
Prior.
owning it, it was a prior owner, so.
Yeah.
Just-
You've already been before landmarks too with?
Mhm.
Okay,
And heritage,
all
both.
right. All right, so really, well, we can talk about the waiver now, right?
Parking waiver first, yeah. The rec fee, we're gonna refer to the commission.
We've granted waivers historically to folks throughout the city based on their proximity to city lots. This certainly fits into that category as well. I'm comfortable with it, and how does the rest of the board feel with that? Good, all right.
Technically, what you're waiving is the increase of 1 unit.
Okay.
So it's not a significant jump.
So we're just looking at 1.5 cars?
Studio.
Okay, oh, okay. All right, anything else?
Just unless the board has any questions, who are the applicants?
Is one of these a Knox box on there too?
Oh.
Yeah.
I just know this board policy's on there, you know, I got 5 units in here. You know?
There's a special permit, though, you
Yeah.
need to set a time.
Yeah, all right, so, even though you've been around for generations now, so, we're, typically with a first-time special permit, we're gonna redo a 1-year term, and you come back and
We won't even have a C of O in a year, I don't think.
Yeah,
so.
we recommended 18 months to start.
just to get the work going?
Right,
Okay.
because they are working with New York State, so that's going to be another
Okay.
layer of reviews that they have yet to go through. So by the
Okay.
time they do that,
That sounds
and get
good.
the building permit, and actually get things
And,
operational.
and the NPS, not just SHPO, but
Right.
NPS, so
Okay.
they're both backed up. We have projects that used to be 30 days, and you could count on that.
Yeah,
But after COVID, there are projects that are out there routinely 90 days, some as much as 6 months, just to get a review. And then if you get comments, we have to revise those back,
all right,
you're back at the line.
all right, and everybody's good with the 18 months on the initial term? Okay.
Unlisted action.
Yeah, under secrets and unlisted action, so I have before me a short environmental assessment form that staff has said is in order. At this time, I'll make a motion that we approve it. Do I have a second? Second by Andrew. All in favor, Wayne Platt is a yes. Matt Gillis,
Yeah.
Andrew Harris,
Yes.
Sage Newkirk,
Yes.
Kyra Grundy.
Yes.
Okay, that is approved.
We'll call you when, this is planning board. We'll call-
Matt's not here yet. You're looking for Matt Jankowski?
Yeah, I have a problem, I want to talk to him about it.
Okay,
Okay, he's not here yet.
He's coming.
He's supposed to be coming, yeah.
thank you. Okay, so you have a little laundry list there?
I do.
Okay.
You want me to read it?
Yeah.
So the term would be for 18 months with board's policies 6, 22, 23, 25, and 26. City pickup with the purchase of extra totes. The rec fee will be referred to the rec commission for the opinion on the waiver and returned to the board for a final determination. And the parking waiver is granted for the single unit, additional unit.
So I'll make that into a form of a motion. Do I have a second on that? Second by Andrew. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you, folks, for seeing us.
Good night.
Okay, item number 6, I see Matt Gillis, you're going to be recusing from this item.
Yes.
Can you state your reason, please?
Business relationship.
Okay. So you can get out of here. Item number 6 is 61-63 Marys Avenue. It's a special permit to create a centralized hub for fiber network equipment. Section block of lot is 56.42-1-1, secret determination, zone 02, ward 9. Archtop, or is it Archtop? Archtop. Fiber LLC is the applicant. Benedictine Hospital is the owner. Anybody besides the applicant or owner wishing to speak on item number 6?
Can you be up there?
Yeah, come on.
All right.
Yeah. We've got plenty of room for you. Okay, state your names for the record, please.
I'm Sean Mackay, Chief Development Officer with Archstop Fiber.
Brittany Arson with Harrison Development on behalf of Archstop Fiber.
All right, welcome, folks. All right, so got a picture of a plan here, what you got. Do you just want to tell us what you're planning to do?
Certainly, just sort of on general background, we are investing about $350 million in a competitive fiber network to compete with Spectrum and Verizon across the Hudson Valley. We own several phone companies, the Germantown Telephone Company, Hancock. We're upgrading them to what's called XGS-PON fiber. So we'll be offering 10 gig fiber speeds to, the first phase is just around 3,000 miles of fiber to around 170,000 locations, including the city of Kingston, cities of Saugerties, up and down to the Hudson River on both sides. We have started that project. We're in permitting phases of it. That architecture, that it's the latest services you can get in Seoul, South Korea. You can't get it in downtown New York City, but XGS-PON is the next order of magnitude fastest service. The way that network works is the lasers that shoot the light down the glass tubes shoot about 20 kilometers before they start seeing light degeneration. So we put a hub regeneration site with a bunch of routers and all optical light termination devices. We have lots of acronyms I can bore you to tears with, but each one of them, it's actually very low power. It's not the old days of copper and coaxial, where they use a lot of energy. Every 120 feet, they need a power supply. Our entire network is dielectric. The only electronics are in this hub. And it's about 1/3 the electric capacity of a traditional telecom hub from the old days. And then there is no power in the network anywhere except the device on your desk in your home. So it's a very sophisticated, latest generation network. This is just one of those hubs. The first 2 areas we're constructing are Saugerties and Kingston. We are the first tenant in iPark 87.
Okay.
We put our corporate offices there. We are just hired our 30th employee on our way to 85 for this year. So as I said, I'm a founder. I live in the area, I live in Rhinebeck.
Okay.
And this was a sort of mad dash to get started in the first location. We really obviously would like to get started as soon as possible. And so we originally worked with the county on some property on Marys Avenue that turned out to be untenable because of basically surface. The surface was, there was so much rock and so much ground rock that we just, could not make that work. The next available space was identified, and with some back and forth with the city and, with the Westchester County Medical Center, we believe we have a sort of a path forward that looks a lot like this. There's, concern about parking for the area, so we try to work closely with their team and maximize the amount of parking and minimize the amount of space we need. The building itself is a prefabricated structure. I think we've submitted photographs so you see what it looks like. We are entirely open to the aesthetic treatment of that in terms of any, any planting or fencing that you need in that area. And basically we pour pad. You can actually see the building. We have close to $20 million in equipment and materials at iPark right now in that warehouse. You can see one of the building that will go there is on our site right now in Kingston, Ulster Township. And it is brand new, very simple structure. And then we usually put a fence around it and almost never go into it. It's just really when we do upgrades and
What kind of fencing are you considering putting up? Have you given any thought to that?
historically, we have used all different types, really
Okay.
depending on what the neighborhood calls for.
Okay.
We are very observant of sort of the aesthetics of things. You know, we're building a mid-century modern office space because of that. In this case, you know, if it's sort of in the middle of farmland, and, you know, we built all of Montana, all of Wyoming, you know, we would put the hut, put some chain link fence around it because there wasn't a ranch for, 20 kilometers.
Do you need a certain height for security purposes, or is this not is that really not an issue?
The building itself tends to be pretty secure.
Okay.
We put a fence around it. I think it's one of the belt and suspenders approaches, because we always did it.
Yeah.
I have put some that had no fences around it, particularly in areas like this, which are highly visible on sort of traffic, it was sort of 24-hour. People in the area, obviously medical center, so we would want to be extraordinarily receptive to any indication from certainly the, you know, our partners, if I may. And of course, the city, if you had any ideas of what type of plants you want, what kind of fence you prefer, if you prefer no fence at all, we would be willing to listen to virtually any of that as long as we have our time.
Yeah, there's Central Hudson has a substation up on Washington Avenue, which is also a very heavily trafficked roadway. And they have it surrounded with like a nice, like a wrought iron looking fence, and then they have arborvitae, you know, around it as well, because they also, even though they're on a heavy traffic road, there's a lot of residential around there. And this is kind of the similar type of situation where you do have residential neighbors in close proximity, so you want to be sensitive to that. And it seems to work well, it's very attractive, it's kind of same type of thing where, you know, it's a utility, but it's set back a little off the road. Really, once the arborvitae is filled in, it's really very unnoticeable. And
I've had requests over the years for also, you know, bayberry, arborvitae, you know, privet. Once I had someone insist in when we were building on Long Island, they insisted we put beach plum, which I had. So we planted beach plum around that particular hut. Happy to do it. You tell us what to plant.
Okay, good. So what's the shelter look like? What is that made of?
It is a, as I said, a prefabricated building.
It's like a pole barn, smaller version of it, or?
No, it's,
It's a lovely long change, but it didn't print it.
yes.
It looks similar.
This is a, as you said, an ugly one that has a chain link fence around it. Obviously, look past the fence and you will see it.
Oh, okay.
Small.
Yeah.
10 by 20.
The walls are 8 feet. There's a slight pitch on the roof.
Thank you.
And again, that has a larger fence around it. We can either do no fence at all or contract the fence get closer. And there really is, again, we do it just because we've always done it.
And will there ever be, out of just the size of the site, will there ever be a need to expand inside that at all?
Not a chance.
Okay.
The network is so flexible in the amount of fiber we build. The cards we put in our devices now provision up to 10 gigabits per second, which is 10 times as fast as anything you have now. It's also 10 gig up to 10 gig now. We are testing cards in our lab right now at 25 and 50 gigs. And we're waiting to get our 100 gig cards delivered so we can test them as well. If it comes time when people just can't get by with 10 gigabits per second and we need to go to 25, it's simply a matter of pulling a card out of the chassis, changing the connections and sliding it back in. There would be no requirement for additional chassis or additional space.
And I apologize if I missed this. What is the geographic area that this location will serve?
This will serve basically what we call it it's passive optical networking again. Someone will hook on me if I go too deep down the technical side, but there are loops that come out of this fiber, and it has fiber that goes into it and feed the network, and then fiber that comes out of it, and it's redundant, and it's a self-healing network. So anywhere where there's a fiber cut, if it's mapped to a certain location, it'll automatically fail over to the alternate location. It's a very secure network. We designed it this way because we do a lot of enterprise, we do a lot of medical, a lot of hospitals. Our company personally served the intercontinental ballistic missile sites in Malmstrom Air Force Base in Montana. So we know what mission critical means. They used to put bags over our heads when we did the install so we could see the route in. In this case, we will serve 20-kilometer loops out of this. So it will serve, 10 kilometers out, 10 kilometers back. It will certainly serve all of Kingston up to sort of halfway between here and Saugerties, and then all the way down to Socus, over to not quite to Woodstock. The Woodstock will have, in fact, we had a meeting today with the Woodstock Public Library, putting that up there.
And the generators, I'm sorry, hooked to natural gas, is that,
It's a diesel generator.
was that?
It's a diesel generator.
Okay. So really, that's only there in case the power goes out,
Yes,
and it only goes on to do a test and when the power's down, right? That's about it.
it does an automated test once every 2 weeks, I believe. Don't quote me on that. And, it just turns on for
Standard.
45 seconds or something and turns itself off.
And that's the only noise really generated from this.
There is heating and air conditioning compressors built into the building, on the side of the building, actually. I don't know if you can see them here. You can't, they're on the back side. Obviously, they're just compressors, quiet. It's a, compared to what we used to do in the days of sort of high energy intensity, the air conditioners would run all the time. They only really run on hot days in the summer. So it's just not a happy low situation.
So getting back to the fencing and the screening, then, so what are we, I mean, we're looking, I know you suggested something like the Central Hudson substation on Washington. Is that something?
Yeah, I mean,
Similar?
I think, there's a good amount of green landscaping. Originally, we were thinking about a wood or a vinyl opaque fencing. I'd rather keep the fencing more minimal and go with something that is more decorative, wrought iron looking style, and then have a green, heavier landscape around the front of that, to kind of keep more of a residential nature to the streetscape. We can work with them on the landscaping species. I mean, at staff level, I think, the height of the fence, I don't, that's why I was asking that question. If you needed a height, look greater than like 6 feet, which is a pretty standard height. I didn't know if you needed something higher than that, then that would have to get approved by the board, but we can go with 6 and you're happy with that. Is there any lighting on this site? Set in, nothing, even if someone has to service it at night, what kind of sort of emergency lighting or?
There is, there's one fixture, you can see, actually, this one doesn't have one at all. Very often we'll put a motion sensitive, just a light fixture, just when
Okay.
you're putting your key in the door.
Okay,
We stopped doing that often, because there are no keys anymore, you just swipe your.
card.
pad is lit. So they just don't use the access. And so, as you can see, this one does not have any lighting whatsoever. If you have sensitivity lighting, this one, we don't need it. So we are in this so infrequently,
Are there any alarm systems that, audible alarms that would be sounded at this location, or is that a remote kind of monitoring system?
we have so many alarms intrinsic to the network.
Okay.
Because we have, one of the things we will be doing in Kingston here at the IFAR facility is we have what we call a NOC, or Network Operations Center. And we have a team of professionals who do nothing but stare at screens, looking for aberrations in the network, keep it up and running. We have a standard of 5 nines, it's up 99.999% of the time, it's acceptable to us, anything less than that. We consider that a failure, so we have NOC technicians who do that. They have gear in the network that transmits back to them if there are any aberrations. So there'll be plenty of that. It's not a car alarm that will sort of go off and say, oh my God, it's not working. We need to know it there. There will probably be an ADT system without an alarm. just in case someone broke into it, we probably do that, although we have done them both sides. It really depends on the neighborhood.
Okay, I was just thinking the sound only because the hospital being a neighbor, obviously, there's a sensitivity to noise, so I just wanted to just kind of ask the question.
So I've got a good idea of what she's been talking about the type of fencing and screening there. Is everybody handling mostly on staff level? Is it got a good with that concept?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just want to raise a comment about the neighbors and some of those who will be present at the hospital behavioral health. We have to consider the risk that the fence poses, to them, 6 feet high enough to keep someone from climbing over. Be reasonable. Just thinking in terms of our patients who may at times a low behavioral health ER or patient unit, and the risk that poses to be in a closed space. So I think we also have to ensure that the hospital has the ability to access the gated space.
You can certainly put an electric tab or code, or, and as far as the height of the fence, you would tell us.
Yeah, so we'll work on that detail.
Okay, so you
Yeah,
think
well-
you need a higher fence?
No, I just think we want to make sure there's access to the hospital.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I think going higher sometimes makes it more attractive.
No, I want to.
You know,
I'm
yeah.
comfortable with the 6 feet.
Okay, all right,
Reasonable precaution of where we
Okay.
do it.
You, in this photograph, you're looking at a 6-foot fence with razor wire top. We would not put it. top.
No, I would not.
Yeah,
right.
this is not that, right?
No, it's just ensuring that our security team, we have the ability to access that should someone climb over.
Including the more decorative line, that's involved in particular. It's just a
Correct.
spots. I mean, that's better.
Okay.
Unfortunately, they want to do some kind of fencing.
We operate a 24/7 operation. We have no decks on all the time, so it's literally,
What is your lease term?
we're looking for an easement, actually.
Oh, an easement,
We're still working on
okay.
still working on the agreement.
Okay, I just think.
We're moving this forward.
Special permits,
Yes.
sometimes we tie it to the criminal code.
Agreed.
Okay. I would hope so.
Yeah.
We're sitting here together.
Yes.
So a term for the special permit, I see staff's recommending a year to 18 months. I know we did it for the previous applicant to get everything up and running.
Yeah, and then once it's up and running, we would look at, obviously extending that to longer term like we typically do. So it's just once, so everything gets constructed, it's running, then you come back, make sure that everything is sufficient, satisfactory for us. Send you on with the longer term after that.
Everybody's good over here with 18 months on that?
Yeah, I think we're sensitive to one thing, it is moving, there's several $1 million worth of equipment in it, and it's worthless to anybody but us, but the idea of moving it involves literally shutting down the network for some period of time. Everybody's at home is, going to be upset with that, and so it is
Right.
the thing that we cringe at most, is massive, sort of, disturbances to our network, and that would be something that, but if I look calm now, you would see the uncalm Sean in that situation.
Yeah, I can't imagine what that looks like.
It's just the hundreds of thousands of phone calls that you take when that happens.
All right, any questions from the board on this? Anything else from staff? No? All
I
right.
don't have a box on this for any reason. I don't really think that it's,
So,
I mean, I don't think it's necessary, but
no. I mean, if hospital is gonna have a fob to get in.
Yeah.
Then they can, if there's an emergency there, we can.
Yep.
Yeah, they can be just there with that. And I say we, like I'm still there. I used to work. All right, so under seeker, this is a type 2 action, so no further review of the board is required for that. At this time, I'll make a motion that we approve item number 6 for a period of 18 months, and Sue's going to go over the conditions and
board policies 5, 6, 14, and 19. The fence style will be an iron fence style with a height of 6 feet, with the ability of the hospital having access to it. Landscaping surrounding will be worked out with staff. That's it.
Okay. That is a motion. Do I have a second? Kyra with a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you, very informative. All right.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. Yep.
If anyone has any questions, there's some cards.
Oh, that'd be great.
Okay.
I bothered you enough, you guys all.
For yourself.
Thank you.
You missed a really funny. Honestly, you could.
To get breather, and I'm talking to somebody.
Excuse me. Okay. All right. Moving on to old business. Item number 7 is 106 West Chestnut Street. Special permit renewal to operate a boarding house. Section block and lot is 56.34-11-22. Seeker determination, zone R1, heritage area. Coastal zone? Okay. Ward 9, Chestnut Hill, NY Incorporated is the applicant owner. The record show that Mr. Joseph Sanji is here. Welcome, sir. I understand there are some circumstances that are, you're looking to table till the next meeting? Can you?
Yes.
Okay. Can you, for the record, can you state what those
Yeah,
reasons
my
are?
attorney's too sick to be here.
Okay,
He couldn't carry on. He was so sick, he couldn't carry on.
okay,
So, and I feel like this is a matter that requires him to be here.
okay. All right, I'm sorry to hear that. So hearing that, at this time, I'll make a motion that we table item number 7 for 1 month. Any questions from the board? Okay, do I have a second on that? Second by Sage Newkirk. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Sage, good night. Okay, moving on to item number 8, number 2, Jansen Avenue. And let the record show that Matt Gillis is back here with items from item number 7 on. 2 Jansen Avenue, special permit, excuse me, looking down there, we get 25. Site plan to expand an existing brewery and construct a 2,441 square foot addition. Section block and lot is 56.26-5-32. Secret determination, zone C3, Ward 9, Kingston Standard Brewing Company is the applicant. Esopus Holdings LLC is the owner. It's a lot to say, isn't it? Can you state your name for the record, please?
Tate Simpson.
Okay, welcome, sir.
Thank you.
All right, so you're here last month, right?
2 months ago.
2 months ago, that's right, yeah. All right, so where are we now with this?
Well, as the,
We have some,
yeah, we sent you guys the site plan, elevations, signage, sketches.
okay,
Since the last meeting, we went to the zoning board and received the variances requested by the planning.
okay,
And I have those in case you guys don't.
We do.
You have them.
Yep.
And since receiving those variances we've got to work on. These items, we're looking at the exterior elevation. The kind of addition is on the right, featuring a garage door and the large KSBC logo over the top. The middle portion and the left portion are existing. That shows the ceiling height exterior is pretty close to the exterior ceiling height of the Village Grocer on the left there. I think that actually doesn't look like their portion is drawn to scale. That's 25 on the right, as is their.
So Village Grocer is going to stay?
They're gonna stay.
Okay. And just what's going to happen in the rest of the building? I mean, that's going to be brewing, right?
Yeah, so actually on that previous slide showed the floor plan beneath. So it says there on the left, existing Village Grocery, that is remaining.
Okay.
We have this firewall dividing two spaces just to the right of that. And then the rest of that space, which totals approximately 40,000 square foot, is for production exclusively. So it wouldn't be open to the public per se, it would be for manufacturing.
Okay.
Retail, we'll see.
Is there, and the middle space there, is that, and this is all going to be, is that a public area right there? or
No, that middle space is the existing building and it shows the, there are a couple of columns in the center there and I'm not sure what those dotted lines are meant to represent, but
Yeah.
otherwise it's open.
It
It's
might
open
be
space.
support beams or
Oh,
something.
yes, I suppose it could be.
I was just asking about, because I know some of the breweries and cideries that I've been to, like folks like to see the operation while they're enjoying their.
Well, if you notice on the elevation, there are two large metal frame windows, and those are existing. We're going to open those up again, so it would be mostly viewed from the outside.
Yeah.
Because the entirety of the interior would be production space.
And the garage door would probably be open when you've got folk patrons there, right? I mean, they can take a seat inside and
Sure, yeah, it wouldn't necessarily be something we would welcome.
you're not encouraging people to go inside, no, so, okay. All right,
Because he has the restaurant and.
Next door.
Next door.
Yeah, a separate building,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that's getting a small addition on the side of that, in addition to the larger one here that you see.
all right.
Is the brewing moving out of the existing space?
It would, ultimately, yes. And that shows just a concept for exterior signage, that would be, painted on the building, not affixed to.
I'm just trying to think about what we talked about at the last meeting, he's been here. Did we talk about the refuse area location of that? That's-
We did, and that was one of the variance, I think, issues, to obtain variance to have the dumpster located.
Yeah.
You can see the location, the two black squares
On
up
the right
there.
side, yeah.
That's the location right there. We talked about the fact that a lot of the parking that is utilized by the site is actually off his property onto the city's right of way. They've had conversations with Corporation Council, and I believe you intend to file a communication looking to purchase that section.
We used to
of the-
explore that, yeah.
Right,
In the
okay.
interim, we sent to your office certificates of
Yeah,
insurance.
insurance
for-
coverage,
for the
right.
short term.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are interested in pursuing that as a
Right.
possibility. And that would alleviate a lot of those concerns.
Yeah, it
Um,
makes sense too.
But we've gone ahead and done our site plan. It looks like this is
Yeah,
the
let
one
me,
from the last
I
meeting.
was just gonna say, you sent me one today.
Paper copies, if that's helpful as well. But if you want. So that shows the revisions, which there's a slight change to the parking arrangement and it allows us to maintain the same number of parking spots, the same accessible spot right out in front, but also add a bike rack and some landscaping that is currently on asphalt. So there would be a little bit more greenery after we're done.
So if and when you do acquire the property from the city's right of way,
Yeah,
does he need to come back and discuss
No.
parking, how that's gonna be arranged, or any delineation, or, okay? Gotcha.
Presumably, everything will stay the same.
We don't wanna see you again.
Yeah, might change it a little,
That's good. That's a good.
but yeah, no.
All right.
So good, I'm glad the bike racks are in.
Yeah. Then the, let's see, the other thing, I don't know how if you have the electronic of this, but this is a floor plan of the tasting room post renovation, just to give you an idea of what how the interior is supposed to changes slightly. It doesn't change drastically, but it does allow us to put a
So it's actually oriented like that.
Where's Jansen Avenue?
Jansen would be on this side right here, yeah. This would be north end. Sorry, there's
Oh,
no,
this is the other building.
that's the other
Ah,
building.
I got you.
Yep.
Copy that.
And this shows the location and size roughly of the addition, which would be for walk-in, walk-in cooler and bathrooms.
Okay.
Back here.
Then there's a little space for maybe a band there too, I see, is that?
Possibly, I don't know if that's not the intention, it is banquet seating.
Okay. I mean, it'd be a nice touch, so.
Yes, they are. And we would be adding a second, and they would be, the one that we currently have would be eliminated.
Nice. And for your sign on that, is it gonna be backlit, or what do you propose?
No, because it would just be paint on the exterior of the building,
Okay.
so we would be lighting it from above, pointed back towards the building.
Okay. Do we need details in it? Whatever you
We
got.
have the lighting, together, basically.
In your notes?
Well, that would be that big picture right here.
Yeah.
There you go. I didn't flip the page over. I know. Well, I'm glad you're expanding. This is nice. You know, it just adds to, if you want to call it a crawl, you know, the pub, the brewery crawls, you know, there's all these little, you know, there's all these things popping up around it. It's just, it's nice. I think it's a great thing for this city.
But we think so too.
Glad the market's staying too.
Yeah, yes.
The neighborhood appreciates that.
Yes, we did. Just for the sake of not repeating ourselves, our stormwater's already been taken care of.
Will be, that was something we discussed, in the last week or so. We've done, almost the entirety of the parking lot is currently impervious.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't actually be adding anything to the storm system. If anything, there might be a net loss if we, add some greenery where it's currently macadam. But that is something that we were going to discuss. Hopefully, if it's, well, I'm just curious to hear what the board thought about that. We looked at the idea of possibly adding some planters out front, but the site is already exceptionally tight as it is to accommodate the parking and deliveries in the location in which we're talking. So that would be, and it would only be a very small percentage thereof.
You shared that design.
I did, because the site is tight, didn't want to add planters to the front, so then we talked about potentially a dry well or something.
Right.
of that
Right.
nature.
Right, so the system actually that we're we're investigating is one that is on the condition. It's a Coltech unit that would
Okay.
essentially be underneath the parking lot or some
Right.
portion there.
It's like a storage area under
Right.
your parking
It's a
lot that
slow-
collects it and then slowly releases. Yeah, they're used, actually, they're very common, a lot of locations around Kingston.
Right,
Around the corner is planning one at Prince Street, that's the type of stormwater system they're putting in.
Oh, Berardi's
Yep,
building, okay.
right,
Old building?
yeah,
so that would have this unit underground that would be tied into whatever we're collecting and then release into the city's
right.
system over time.
Usually, well, it gets released into the ground
Mhm.
and then overflow goes into a city system.
I see.
Yeah.
So I think the real question is what, first, I mean, that would become exceptionally expensive if we were trying to mitigate the addition of, a large volume of water, but considering that we would in theory be somewhat reducing already by turning some of the existing parking lot into pervious material, I was hoping we could arrive at a percentage a target really, that we would have to meet. In,
I would think if you could have something designed that would take care of the roof drainage of the new addition area, then that would be, I think, a fair compromise.
that
And
is,
not calculating the balance, like where
Right.
the roof drains are going already,
right,
from your existing structure and your paved areas already just sheet draining out to the street. Just taking the section that's being built new
that's
and,
12% of the whole area of the property, which is quite
Okay.
significant. I don't know if in the normal course of our excavation for utilities, we would even come close to
Okay.
the square footage necessary with the system to do that high of a percentage.
okay.
Something
in that
that we
case-
talked about was having his engineer look at the difference in impervious surface, what's there now versus what would be there.
Well, that's what they've done,
Okay.
and what,
Then we can make this a condition of approval, so, you said you don't have something concrete right now.
yeah,
It doesn't mean you have to come back to another meeting to discuss this. This can be handled at staff level in consultation with your engineer, the city's
Yeah.
engineer.
I mean, then my other option would be to look at a dry well. And again, I don't know the underlying geology here. I suspect you probably have rock, a lot of rock. So we want to look at that. I mean, it is pretty much like you said, it's all impervious now.
Right.
You're not changing a whole lot,
And
so I
since-
agree there.
And since we did the initial renovation, we took what was impervious, our whole beer garden area is now gravel and it's become porous. So
Okay,
all of the stormwater that was currently on the 22 Jansen Avenue building is not going into the city.
it's going into the ground.
It's going into the ground.
Okay, good. That's good.
And so and currently we have, obviously the rest of the property is asphalt, so, and we're existing infrastructure.
Right.
So these are all discussions they could have that's concerning net runoff based on the addition and the removal of pervious. I'm talking like I'm an engineer right now, by the way, so.
Well, I mean, there's options
Sounds
to
good.
request from the engineer, a waiver of sorts, due to the feasibility of what can and can't be done on site.
Right.
So we would want to work with the city engineer to see what options there are. And if you're like only doing limited excavation, like I said, maybe that's an opportunity to do a dry well.
But
Of
given,
sorts.
and it's my understanding that the city code requires that we cannot add to.
Correct,
Right.
yeah.
But I think what we'll find is that there wouldn't be any addition.
Right.
So I think if if we're going to mitigate existing stormwater that's already going into the city system, it is probably going to have to be a bit more modest, because I don't think we would plan to tear up the whole,
No,
parking
yeah,
lot to-
I agree. I understand. You mean, you have an existing business that you want to continue operations while you're doing this construction at the same time. So, yeah, there's going to be some finagling there.
Could we say that if we could mitigate 5% of the total area, or a little bit under half of that addition, that would be acceptable?
Up to the board.
I'm happy with leaving it. I mean, I'm fine with it.
Okay.
I mean, there's just,
Well, we can,
still have
that
to be
would be a
reviewed.
goal to look for. I mean, it would be
I
actually
mean, is everybody okay
reducing
with that?
the runoff, that percentage.
Are you adding impervious behind as well? Is that?
No, that's
Oh.
currently impervious, so that would actually also become permeable.
Or so that's, I'm sorry, I meant you're adding gravel behind.
Right, actually, I didn't
But
even-
that's,
Yeah.
that's a low spot back there, isn't it, too?
well.
You don't want to be dumping it onto other people's property.
Well, that wouldn't be possible because there's a retaining wall. We are the low spot, yes, I guess. So the retaining wall that gains in elevation on the northwest side of the property.
Okay.
So yes, that
Yeah,
area,
it's currently impervious back there.
It
You're
is.
planning on putting gravel.
concrete and asphalt,
Yeah.
so we would be taking that out. So we would be further reducing but however, most of what runs off of the northwest side of the building goes into the gravel already. So it may not actually change, it just changes the percentage of
And
permeability.
that back area, that serves no function back there.
Not
does it?
currently, but what we're proposing is to add seating in that back space. With the assumption that we would be redoing the retaining wall to accommodate that.
Would this area here become gravel also, or would this?
Yeah, that's, well, part of the vegetation area, yes, would be, but in that section in front of the building, I think probably not, only because that would severely reduce accessibility if we were entirely enclosed by gravel, so I would rather not, for that reason.
What about pavers? Permeable pavers?
My understanding is those are very expensive, but yes, that could work.
I mean, for the portion for accessibility purposes, I mean, you could use that as the access way and a small area for that, and then the gravel could be extended maybe, and that could be the compensation.
Right, but this, well, in that building, though, I don't know if adding any gravel to the parking lot side would do much of anything to reduce stormwater because of how it flows. It flows towards the beer garden area closest to Jansen Avenue and is picked up mostly there already. I don't, although to be fair, when we've had exceptional rain events, I don't know if it's that.
Okay.
So our intention wouldn't be to repave the parking area or the seating area in front on the parking lot side.
So you haven't, we agreed to that?
Yep.
Any other questions? You good to staff?
Yeah.
So, good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm-
We didn't do secret yet, right? On this?
We had a type 2,
Type two.
because of the size.
Right, so under seeker, type 2 action here, so no further review of the board is required. At this time, I will make a motion that we approve item number 8. And Sue has the board policies and conditions.
Okay, so board policies would be 4, 4A, 6, 10, 11, 12, 14, 19, 24, 25, and 26. With the insurance continued and maintained for the city right-of-way use and the parking until such time as a purchase or other arrangement is made. And that the stormwater will be worked out with staff with a goal of reducing 5% of the runoff.
And I think you do have a Knox box there, right?
All right.
So,
It is already there.
but that, so that's not one of the policies?
It is, but
Okay, but you
it's
can,
already
you don't need a new one on the other
No.
building, you just put everything in
Both
one.
keys in one box would
Yeah.
be acceptable.
All right, so that is a motion, do I have a second on that? Andrew Harris with a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Pleasure doing business with you. Good luck.
Thank you.
I'll see you on the crawl.
All right.
All right?
Look forward to it.
You have time away from the board for that. Did you use it wisely? No? Okay, item number 9. Okay. Yes, should I read it in the record first?
Yep.
Item number 9 is 25 Jansen Avenue, special permit to establish and operate a single unit as short-term rental. Section block and lot is 56.26-11-47, secret determination, zone C3, Ward 9. JRT STX Holdings LLC is the applicant owner. The applicant has requested that this application be tabled at this time. So I'm going to make a motion that we do that. We have a second on that. Second by Kyra Grundig, and all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Kyra, it's going to still take me some time to make sure I got your name correctly.
You got
I
it.
have the phonetic spelling and I can verify that right there. I got to make sure I do everything correctly, so.
Thank you.
And that comes from a father whose daughter's name is Pepper, who people call her Piper. I got and Platt and Plate, I get the whole thing, so I got to move phonetically. I'll go up. Eventually it'll be erased. Moving on, item number 10. Oh, we can do a bunch of items here, can't we? Oh, this is for Hurley Avenue. 26 and 28 Hurley Avenue, site plan amendment to establish an outdoor art exhibit space in conjunction with existing gallery. Section block and lot is 48.313-1-28 and 29.200. Secret determination, zone C2, Ward 1, Lauren Aitken. Applicant, David and Rebecca Wine Cooper are the owners. Welcome. Can you state your names and record, please?
Lauren?
Chase Folsom.
Okay. By the way, that building turned out to be, you know, there was a nice building before, but that just
Yeah.
popped right now,
You
you
don't
know?
realize what a nice building it was,
Oh,
right? We didn't even,
God,
yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
yeah.
okay, so you're here because I see there's a big neon sign in front of your building.
Sculpture.
Sculpture. All right, so tell us what you're looking to do.
So the idea is that we can basically have rotating sculpture installation out on the lawn. Most likely it'll be every 6 months, 4 to 6 months, we're hoping. Non-permanent structures. I think I just wrote, there's like a variety of materials that the work could potentially be made out of.
So I guess as, you know, what you have there is pretty big right now, and, right, so, you know, we want to discuss tonight some of the parameters that may be associated with what your proposal is.
So just, with the sculptures be installed as independent type of shows, or would they be, are they intended to be part of exhibits that are going on internally in the building? Is that kind of like an extension, outside extension of what's going on inside?
Yeah, and we curate, I mean, that's a huge part of our curation is that we like to actually have art, like the work that's inside, it's, you know, it's always different artists. We don't have the same artist showing inside, although we could. But really the idea is that we are, we're sharing the cake, right?
Okay.
With everyone. So, and like a lot of artists don't work, you know, without more, you know, installation and sculpture because it's very expensive and it's a lot more work because it's mostly metal and wood and everything has to be able to be, you know.
I mean, the other reason I ask that is because usually like sculpture installation is, you know, it tends to take, you know, a lot more effort to do the actual installation, making sure it's secure and protected. And so rotating it, you know, normally internal exhibits might rotate out much more frequently than a 6 month. You might not have an exhibit in place inside for 6 months, you know, you'd have it maybe 2 months,
Or
3
monthly.
months, or, you know.
Or monthly.
Or monthly, right, so outdoors wouldn't change that frequently, because of the effort that's needed to put it in place. And that's the only reason I asked that question.
Absolutely.
And to be honest, when we were thinking about this one, you know, we try to be as open as we can with the artists that we work with to allow them to do, you know, it's expression. So, so originally we were thinking about them going across the lawn, and then they stacked them because they're like, oh, I think that looks better. I'm like, okay, let's do it. So, yeah.
So
It is
how,
big, but it is big emotions.
and by me saying that is not criticism of the piece.
Yeah.
So, and until I saw this appear on our agenda, I thought it was like a permanent signage. I didn't know it was gonna be part of a rotating art sculpture display. How long do your sculptures, would they usually be out there for, you think?
So
4 to 6 months.
4 to 6 months, most likely. You know, the one thing we are like hyper aware about right now with that piece is, we're really good friends with our neighbors who live next door. So, just in terms of like light pollution and it being on, you know, late, that's just one thing, especially I think with that piece, we're trying to be really considerate.
And when does the piece get turned off at night?
6 to 9.
Yeah, that's what it's on, 6 to 9.
6 to 9?
Yeah.
I mean, right now, it's kind of hard to see it because you turn on at 6, it's still like bright sun outside, so it's kind of irrelevant, but obviously when we get into the months of like August and September and October, it will be more relevant.
And we haven't had it on lately because we're just
Wait, I think
Yeah,
because you're so close to this, like a fairly busy intersection, you know, I don't necessarily have an issue with the illumination factor, you know, as long as it's within, you know, certain hours.
Yeah.
But if, you know, you start blinking, if installations start blinking or making noise or things like that are distracted, I wouldn't want to see that kind of an installation, you know.
Yeah, we don't either.
Yeah.
Because we also have our casting company on the other side, so we're there 7 days a week.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, it's more like, it has to be
We don't
like.
want to
full
see that.
rest.
And a piece that is this large and neon lights, is there a concern about safety with people after, or messing with it, or, I mean, the inquisitive type, I don't know.
Honestly, it's bolted into the ground.
Yeah.
Like, I think it would be very hard. I think it would take a very large.
Also, neon isn't hot.
Yeah.
It doesn't heat up. I think that's like a misconception with neon. There's no heat that's actually like emitted off of it.
And that doesn't really, in terms of energy, I think somebody screamed out their window, it's a waste of energy every day. And it's like, actually,
It's
you're
a
doing
charging
it truck.
plug.
Yeah, but it doesn't, it doesn't actually take that much energy to, my partner's a neon vendor, they're like, right, as well, so.
But people, I think, with outdoor exhibits and you're close to a sidewalk, I mean, people walking by, you know, and if it weren't this particular installation that's there now, but something else, people like to walk up, they like to touch, it's an attractive kind of piece. And, they'd like to walk up, touch it, maybe sit on it, and who knows, get their picture taken next to it, But, so just be conscious of that.
Yeah, I think
Absolutely.
we haven't seen anybody get up super close to it. There have been a lot of people taking photos of it. That's been like a big, it's actually been a pretty
Just fabulous.
awesome thing for us. People are really curious. I think we've had more people come into the gallery and ask like what we are, because we have this weird plant wall that's like blocking our ceramic space, so people think we're a plant store a lot of times.
But we did it because people were peeking into the studio and we'd be working and we'd be like covered in plaster and I'm like, I can't. Yeah, so that was the.
Yeah. So happy to like, any of the kind of noise or blinking light events, like just be conscious about it.
So right now, it's a grass area, and it's just gonna stay that, you're not planning to put any kind of concrete pad or gravel area or anything like that. And it's those two areas that are marked and delineated in red that you might have more than one piece as well, right?
Yeah, I think I wanted to give like 3 to 5 feet off of like kind of where the driveway is, where the municipal parking is. It's off of the front area because we installed that massive garden planting, so that obviously takes away from it. Just to deter people a little bit more, so it's not like right on the property line, essentially.
And since we're on the subject, I have a question. If we were going to do a sculpture that say needed we'll just start out there like 24 by 24 small piece of concrete to level the sculpture in the yard, would we need to get approval for that? Or we could
But it's not permanent.
it's not permanent, yeah.
So
We wouldn't pour it there or anything like that. We would.
Like comes with the piece.
Yeah.
no,
And drops
That's okay.
down.
Okay.
no, that's
Goes
what
on
I
top
asked
of
if you were
it,
gonna
yeah.
put something in like
No,
that,
it's
because you
not-
don't know.
It's not a permanent, it comes with the piece generally, they haven't been poured.
So you can actually line.
So what is you're looking for the role of this board with?
You're basically just authorizing the use of that area for outdoor exhibit space associated with the gallery. And you can set your parameters, like you can, say it should be rotated out every 6 months. So nothing is permanent installation. You can, say that, if it is illuminated, the hours, the lights should be turned off by 10 o'clock or earlier if you choose. There's no noise, generated that exceeds noise ordinance parameters. You could set those types of.
And like, what about, this neon sign is, it's big but it's not blinding. But do we have something that we can hang our hat on with the light intensity that how do we? what do we do with
You
that?
do have like board policy, 4 and 4A that deal with lighting, and that if something is installed and it is bright, we, with normal light installation, we work with individuals to tone it down. You could maybe tag that on.
Yeah,
We
we
could
can do
kind
that.
of, we
And,
could tailor it to this, it's unusual, but yeah, we could do that.
And I'm sure that you folks
They
are-
would be responsive if we got a complaint, we
Yeah.
would talk to them and we would work together, and I think that's.
You're gonna keep into consideration the neighbors and stuff around there, the amount of.
Yeah.
I don't want anything to compete with the Deed Stadium lights.
Me either.
Yeah.
It's where the culture.
Competition's on. I don't want that.
Well, the idea is to put a dormer in the third floor so we can see.
Okay.
Specifically to actually watch the marching band competition.
Yeah. Because we like open all the windows at the back when they're practicing. So
Yeah.
it's so
That's
good.
fabulous.
He was a marching band. Cool.
All right.
I would love it up there. I agree with you.
All right, so we have the rotation of the pieces, the illumination, which also covers when it can be on and off, when it can be on,
Right.
right? Noise ordinance,
Yeah, compliance with the noise ordinance.
any other
Oops.
So
Not
anybody have
anything
any other-
permanent.
Dan?
I would stay away, I would kind of restrict blinking at this point, blinking or moving just because of the traffic. You're so close
That
to the
intersection.
intersection, I think
It's fine.
I would stay away from that. That's it.
All right. Okay. So under seeker, this is type 2 action, so no further review of the board is required with that. At this time, I will make a motion that we approve the site plan amendment for item number 10. Do I have a second on that? Second by Kyra. Trying to spread the wealth around a little bit. All in favor?
Well,
Aye.
if I-
Okay, go ahead with the,
Okay.
yes. Go ahead.
With 4A, 6, and 19, board policies, no blinking or moving features, rotated out every 6 months or less, no, all non-permanent structures, and lighting would not be on later than 10 PM.
Okay. So we do have a motion and a second. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you, folks.
Thank you very much.
Come and visit.
I will.
We have an opening July
Yeah,
1st,
July
5
1st.
Okay.
Wine and beer.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
I think you forgot your bat. I was going to yell.
Is that red news?
Not there.
It's gotta be that red news, maybe,
Up in the hospital?
She preferred all that.
or the hospital guy. Yeah, I guess so.
You ready?
Ready when you are, sir.
Where are you? Want to read them all in the record right now, Sue, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was,
I
it was
can
Dr.
email.
Smith.
I don't know.
Michael.
Let me see.
Yeah, yeah. It might have been a little detail. Yeah.
Sure. Does she allow you access? Yeah. Sure.
Okay, so this
Oh,
would be,
access.
item number, we're gonna do 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. All right, so item number 11,
Go back there.
Yes.
Okay.
24-26 Hunter Street and 33-35 West Union Street. Lot line deletion of the lands of Union Church Hill LLC, section block and lot, 46.43-3-9 and 56.43-3-10. Seeker determination, zone RT, Ronda Historic District, Heritage Area, Coastal Zone, Ward 8. Union Churchill LLC is the applicant owner. Item number 12 is 24 and 38-40 West Union Street and 25-27 Beale Street. Lot line revisions of the lands of Union Churchill LLC. Section block and lot is 56.43-3-24, 26, and 25. Seeker determination, zone RT, Round Out Historic District, Heritage Area, Coastal Zone, Ward 8, Union Churchill LLC is the applicant owner there. Item 13 is 24-26 Hunter Street and 33-35 West Union Street. Site plan to establish a parking lot for off-street parking in association with multifamily residential on alternate lots. Section block and lot, 56.43-3-9 and 56.43-3-10. Seeker determination, zone RT, Ronda Historic District, Heritage Area, Coastal Zone, Ward 8, Union Churchill LLC is the applicant owner there. Item 14 is 25-27 of Beale Street, site plan to construct a three-family residential building. Section block and lot is 56.43-3-25, secret determination, zone RT, Rondout Historic District, Heritage Area, Coastal Zone, Ward 8, Union Churchill LLC is the applicant owner. Item 15 is 38-40 West Union Street, site plan to construct a three-family residential building. Section block and lot is 56.43-3-26, secret determination, zone RT, Rondout Historic District, Heritage Area, Coastal Zone, Ward 8, Union Churchill LLC, applicant owner. And item 16 is 24 West Union Street, site plan to convert an existing building to a three-family residence. Section block and lot is 56.43-3-24, secret determination, zone RT, Rondout Historic District, Heritage Area, Coastal Zone, Ward 8, Union Churchill LLC is the applicant owner. State your name for the record, please, folks.
Joseph Manu with Manu Architecture. I have with me Japheth Bayakbo from my company. And having heard all that, I now know why I'm so exhausted from all this work.
So where do you want to start off tonight with this? What do you?
Well, I think we kind of have a little bit of a follow-up from our last meetings, and I'm very happy to announce, and I'm sure you're aware, that we had gotten approved at the last two boards for landmarks and heritage restored.
Yeah.
So that has moved forward. We took some of the information that you had suggested last time, as well as that from the other two boards, and we've incorporated it in the drawings that you have on the screen tonight. I think we could probably just go over those.
Yeah, and we also had a meeting internally with staff and the applicants as well. So there are some changes as a result of that as well. They've had conversations with the city engineer, so that's moved forward, stormwater. And so I guess I'll let you just go through a brief presentation, and then we can put on some points and we can start working through the issues.
Sure, happy to do so. Mind if I stand up?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so here's our site location. These are the properties that we're discussing. This property had a line between it. It's been conjoined into one, or will be, when we're finished with this process. A couple of things we did with this lot in particular was that we increased, we reduced the curb cuts. So rather than have one large curb cut from here to here and here to here, what we did is we split that space so that the pedestrian experience is that you're walking down the street and you have one car, and then you come through and you have another car. What you have is a green area here, and you also have a walkway from front to back, so that anybody on Hunter, anybody on West Union has one continuous way through, and then that continues through right to the new housing units. EV charging stations, obviously we have to meet the stretch energy code. So the EV charging stations have been placed proper to the buildings themselves, not within this area because it's remote. And in consideration of the stretch energy code, we will be providing provisions for that to be done, should the occupant wish to do that. We discussed refuse, where refuse was going to be. So in speaking with the owner, we came up with a plan. We do have in these two buildings, there's a bit of a basement toward the back side of it on a Beale. So that would be accessible from the building, and in that area, we would have either in there or we could do it within the units themselves, just a storage area for recyclables. So that keeps the recyclables dry, keeps them where they need to be, and then they would just simply be toted out for their weekly collection or bi-weekly collection, however the city plans on doing that. In the meantime, what we did is we created an area here that there's totes for one of each of the occupants, families. So we moved the parking around just slightly. Okay, so we provided a grass area and simply a sidewalk at this location. into what is a gated area that will be fenced. This side of it will be extension of that retaining wall we discussed at previous. And then this side will be fenced. And our hopes is to, obviously, we're going to come up with a fencing plan that meets your needs, but our thoughts were, I think probably the best suitable thing for this would be a vinyl fence of, say, a tan color or some other color, not stark white, but something that would be blended into the landscape a bit. The other part of the landscape is that we're talking about on these curb cuts, rather than doing bluestone, we'll be doing the dyed concrete that meets the bluestone spec, which the city has approved. In keeping with that, my thoughts were extending to a couple of other areas that we might want to do that. If you have to order, in construction, if you have to order dyed concrete, you're paying a premium for that. And if you're going to pay the premium for that, you're going to have a full truckload. So you might as well have 12 yards come in, and then if there's another one, another 12 yards. And so utilizing that obviously for the curb cuts themselves, but potentially for the sidewalks and potentially for the areas here. That would, in my mind, provide a nice even feel as far as it all looks like bluestone. And then you would have a pop of the vegetation and let's see here, what else we have? Trees, vegetation, that will be coming into play. We did put together a lighting plan as well. We'll show you that in a moment. Moving along, I think that pretty much accomplishes those changes that we discussed. Am I missing anything? Susan?
Yeah, well, on the parking side with the lot, it used to be one large, wide open curb cut. That's been broken down into two segments on either side on Hunter and on West Union.
Okay.
So you have a pedestrian pathway kind of separating in the center area there. And that's a change. The central area is all going to continue to be landscaping. That's going to be all, it's parking back to back. It'll be designated for individual units. So having that back-to-back parking should not be an issue. I know that that was one of the county's comments. But there'll be designated spaces for the units, so that should not be an issue. The lighting well, you'll talk about the lighting, I'll stay away from that. And then the other, there's going to be a fence, you're putting a fence along the one side yard, correct? On the parking lot where the residence is?
So that is a discussion that my client needs to have with the adjacent property owner as to how we want to handle that issue. Obviously, we want to be good neighbors. The fence here currently exists it's sort of meandering between the two properties. So at some point, we're going to have to figure out what to do with that. And I don't exactly have an answer this time.
Okay.
So if the board has any suggestions, I'd be happy to incorporate them. Otherwise, we'll continue on the path of negotiating with the adjacent property.
Another thing they were talking about is, and I know this is like a mid-block location, but they were talking about doing a defined crosswalk over West Union Street. And that would be something that would be subject to review of the DPW and possibly, I don't think it has to go to Common Council, would it, Matt? A walkway mid-block across the street, would that have to go to council or just DPW and engineering?
So, okay, I'm just trying to get, so,
It would be a
it'd be a
pedestrian
pedestrian
walkway.
walkway, but there's no transfer of ownership of property or no.
No, it would just be, because it's not at an intersection where you would typically have your crosswalks, it would be mid-block designation.
Yeah, no, I think it would just have to go to DPW.
And signage to just warning signage would be probably a requirement. That would be DPW making that recommendation.
Oh, I think you guys can make a recommendation for the site.
Okay.
They would be like the final say on anything.
So if I may, from the last meeting that we had some discussions over the crosswalk and whether it was a good thing or a bad thing, being mid-block. There would obviously be a lot of signage that would get involved with that. Do you have, walk, don't walk kind of things? How does that all play and what does that do to the pedestrian experience? And I think it's a lot. So what we decided to do in this case is we simply remove it So.
Okay, she was shut me up a long time ago.
Sorry. I didn't want to interrupt, I don't know where to interrupt. So, with respect to that, we just got rid of it.
Okay.
All right, so that's that. They can certainly walk across the street, they can look both ways like everybody else does. And that's.
It's a one-way street though, right?
Pardon me?
It's a one-way street, right?
Yes.
So
We don't even have-
yeah, so there. Good point. Japheth, can you, let me just, elaborate this area here, so.
Go ahead, sorry.
No worries. So of these two buildings, this latter half is accessed through this location here, which has a bit of a cantilever, and I'm going to show you that in a little bit. And we have the same thing on this side, and then they're split a little bit because they change in elevation and in height. This is the existing location where you have a step coming up, and what we did here was continue to extend, we'll be creating new steps and landings to come up and meet up at the top here. We did our rendition of a rendering on this. Japheth, can you bring that up for a moment, just so you can understand what this might look like? And we sort of did it with a little transparency to it, so that you can see what's there as well as what we intend to do. So this is the existing stair that stops right here. So we would be extending that up along this rock face. This area has been cleared. This is what it looks like in the wintertime, right? So it's just rock face. I will tell you that the client did go out and had all of this trimmed up and so forth because it was overgrown. But these was where the two buildings would be. And we see some of these existing mature trees, those would remain. A few of these trees down here would also remain. So you have some of that breaking up the facades there. This side is the cantilever section of where you come around, meet here and go into your home on this side. And then from here, you come through, you come down the steps, and then you come through this small landing balcony again for the same. This is the existing religious building, which is being converted over. And obviously you have your existing masonry walls and rock ledge. Japheth, can you show me the hard line drawings on the elevations, the rendering that you have? Do you have the back side of that, or can we zoom in a little bit?
Yeah.
There you go. So more of a hardline look as to what this would be. Oh, we can back out just a bit, Let's see the steps down below. So here are the cantilevers that we're talking about. We're also looking at the covered area just above the doorways to prevent, some inclement weather and snow from accumulating and give you a little bit of dry area there. We have our light poles at various locations. Obviously, some of the trees that were there. This is, not the exact location of, or it's the exact location, but not the exact topography of that rock ledge that crops up through here, which we just saw in the other image. So that gives you a general idea of what we're trying to accomplish with that. The stormwater, we took a look at the stormwater. We're planning on doing roof drains up top. The roof drain or stepper system, we really haven't designed that yet, but the idea is that it's going to go into a pipe system, and that pipe system will come through the cornice. So each one of the units above at the roof level that comes through, travels down, or travels through here, comes through, and then is dispelled out into the storm sewer. And that's all been calculated, civil engineering's been done, and your city engineer has
If you
reviewed
had
that.
signed off on the whole thing, I see, Sue, right?
He hasn't given me the final sign off, but he did give me, he is granted the, he's given them the waiver for having to keep everything on site. And he is looking at the final plans that were just transmitted.
Can you zoom out a bit, Jeff, please? Okay, perfect, thank you. This shows us some of the stormwater and how we're handling that with the roofs. That's, again, as I explained, going through the cornices and through the pilasters, they would come through and then they would be, they would outfall into this area here, which is the board connection. On the front side of this, we have our water our wet taps and our sewer taps for the respective properties into the street. What else do we see on this one? It's essentially, I think, the gist of this map, the utility plan. Next one. Jeff, let's just go through the series of drawings so we can just speak to them that way. Obviously, our details, not as exciting. What else do we have? Go back to our drawings, please. Thank you. So we've seen this, now we look at the landscape plan. We've changed out some of the landscaping is what it is. We've moved a few things around. We have chosen some different species of trees and plantings that we shared with the board last time, with crabapple and, Jeff, you called it? River birch. River birch. So the river birch is very nice aesthetic. Those would be lit with the site lighting. They did request a rendered approach with some of the lighting that we saw from one of the other applications. I'll try to put that together for you too by the next meeting. Let's see here. So lots of green area here, either side. And retaining walls. Retaining wall is going to be, one of the questions that we had last time was how high is this retaining wall at this location? And that's 3.7 feet. Okay, so that's the difference in height. So you probably, and then you have landscaping up on top of that. Chadwick, can you show me the rendering of the rear from the street from West Union, please? Yep, that's the one. So let's do a zoom in on that a bit. Okay, so a little more. Thank you. So this tree is just not shown for our aesthetic value here. This is the enclosure that we're talking about. We sort of left that a little transparent, so you see that behind that, it would be where the totes would be. You would access it from here, which was a small doorway. You've got your retaining walls coming across here. We've got our birch coming through, steps coming up, steps coming up. There's just some lights, wall pack lights. We used, with the exception of the Acorn lights, these are all dark sky compliant. It's something that I promote. So that's what we're using for this project. You will see the lighting plan in just a moment. Material selections, we chose the brick that we discussed prior. I think Jeff's done a real good rendition of that. And then we also discussed the building down the street with the very dark cornice, and we'll do the same for the pilasters.
So just with the refuse here now, so this
Yes.
lower area is going to be the refuse, where the refuse will be stored, and then in totes, and then they'll be brought out to the curb. And the recyclables are going to be kept inside the individual units, and then they're going to be, how is that? Because the totes, where are the totes for those?
Our intent was that the trash, refuse totes, they're going to be within this area. And we also did some landscaping on the side of that.
Okay,
With regard to your cardboard, plastics, and those types of things, those are going to be stored inside. So they'll have their own totes that they will cart out to the street.
so I guess that's what I'm asking, with all the steps and the stairs, how are the totes going to be brought out?
Same way they're going to take out their own garbage. So
So,
you got to take a garbage bag or what have you from wherever you're living, and you come down here and you put it into your recycle
okay,
thing. So we would have the same situation. Obviously, they're not going to be large. I mean, maybe just have, some small containers, recycled containers.
and then the recycled totes will be in that enclosure, because the city has the separate recycle and the separate cardboard totes that are large. So I'm not seeing them in the individual units.
Okay. Can you explain to me a little bit more how the city prefers that to be done? My thoughts is that we'd simply put it out on the street, they'd come and collect, and then they'd be taken away.
Yeah, I mean, but the totes that the city has are fairly large.
Okay.
So if each unit has their own cardboard and their own recycled tote, they're gonna be dragging those large totes down a series of steps and stairs? Is that, or the totes gonna be, that's what I'm.
It's not
The city recycled totes are larger than the garbage
Big
totes.
garbage cans.
Okay.
They're
Yeah, big garbage cans on wheels.
Fair enough.
And we have one for cardboard and one for plastic.
Okay, so you're not single stream recycling, so that's fine. What we'll try to do is make some more accommodations within this space.
Because I can't see them toting, I mean, they're big, and I'm just thinking the ones in the back, are gonna be dragging these large totes around and then down a whole series of up and down stairs. They're not gonna do it.
Yeah, so our thoughts, where I live, I mean, our totes are this big and you have a series of them, right? So you push plastic, some you push cardboard in the other, and then you carry them out and we bring them to the street. In this scenario, they would probably have the same things, and if we have a larger tote, one for each, right? We could then have that placed in here, and during that time that they collect, everybody would bring their stuff out and put it into those, and then take their own laundry basket size if you go back home.
Yeah, I think that would be,
And the occupants are responsible for bringing the totes to the curb too?
Sure. So that's the idea. All right. Lighting plan, please, Jeff. We did it, I'm sorry, back that up one more. I just want to address some of the green areas that we added. So along the sides here, we had a lot, in our last renditions of this, we had a lot more asphalt, a lot more impervious surface. This area here, we had some green area, we had for a little bit of buffer. This is actually the property line here. We want to set it back so that it could be maintained, as well as provide some shrubbery on this side of this retaining wall to buffer that. Again, grass area here, this is your sidewalk curb cut. We didn't do the curb cut in particular at this location, but you got the idea from the floor plan, the site plan. Jeff, can I see the site plan, please? So this is the landscaping that we proposed here to buffer that retaining wall a bit. Obviously, this thing all slopes uphill. Series of trees we showed you from the other plan. And our lights, let's go to the next plan, please. This is our lighting plan that we've put together. So this shows the foot candles. We have an average in here. We took a look at the IES tables. So we're meeting the 1.5, which would be urban environment for a parking area, 1.5 average foot candles. We have somewhere, we have 1.5 here, and then near the lamps, it goes up to 4.2 to 5. So that averages out for the site, and it's been dispersed. We will share that with you for your review when the time comes, which will be our next submission. And then we did the same thing for over here. You have an average of 5 foot candles for that area because you're climbing steps and it's front of the establishments, the front of the house. So we have a series of acorn lights, which we find quite a few throughout the city, as well as LEDs, which are dark sky compliant. And that's essentially it for the lighting plan. Jack, we have anything else? Okay. So with that.
do you have the fixture stuff, the fixture specs? I just want to put up real quick just to kind of get an idea. There you go.
So these would be our decorative acorn lights that you've seen throughout, and then these LEDs, that is for your parking area primarily, because we need to get a little bit more throw there. This is more of an ambient aesthetic, this is more of a functional aspect. And then we have the dark sky compliant wall packs, which would be going along the edge there.
Again, these have already passed through the landmarks filter, and I mean, this is all part of your presentation to them too.
We did present these, yes.
Yeah, so that's all been taken care of, so, yeah. Yeah. I like the design.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Glad you did. I don't have anything
With
other than
the
questions.
landmarks, you did like showed materials, more of the colors and the types of materials and do you have that? That you can just show up for these?
Do you have the materials that we showed them? Okay. So the materials that are going on the building, they're brick. This is one manufacturer that makes them. This is not the brick that's being used. Jeff, can you show them the brick that we're doing from the samples? But this is a wall, this is a brick panel. So the panel is actually screwed onto your frame. We have color windows. They're all going to be in black. All the frames are going to be black. We had 2 sample projects that we saw that we really liked. The brick has almost a little bit of a glazed sheen to it, but it's not a glazed brick. And it's more of in the brownish realm than it is red. And I think once you see it, you'll get the idea of what we're trying to accomplish. Wasn't that on one of the main big sheets? No? Okay, I'll let him find it.
Does the board have any questions for the applicant? One thing where are we at with getting the easement language together? Where is that at?
So I'm here tonight because I wanted to have a continuation and
Okay.
lose step here.
Right,
We're here basically to present what we've done since we've seen you last, to get any feedback that you have for tonight. And I have been in contact with the attorney and the surveyor, inform them where we are in the process, so that they are going to prepare any of the cross easements, covenants, any of the legal terms regarding the sharing of the parking and the spaces and the properties, et cetera. And that, of course, will go before your corporate legal counsel for review.
yeah, because Matt's gonna want to look at that sooner than later. Obviously, I don't want to leave that to the last minute because, they have a lot of other things on their plate at the same time. I want to make sure everything is ready to come together,
The only question that I did have is one of our last meetings, we talked about perhaps peeling back some of the parking requirements.
Right.
Right, for convenience, for aesthetic, for whatever reason. The way that we did our parking count was 2 per unit plus a guest, or a percentage of there was a guest, and
Right.
potentially peeling those back. So I don't know if that's still on the table, if that's something you want to do. 'Cause
Yeah,
I
let's talk
certainly don't
about
want
that
to get the
tonight.
attorney
Let's talk
involved.
about that tonight so that as you go forward with your design, you know what direction this board is agreeing to.
Yeah. So here's a project, and the brick sample that we chose was of here. It's not really doing justice for the images that we had. But anyway, this is a relatively new building, obviously an existing cityscape. And so that's the brick that we chose for that. And again, you got the acorn lights, the same. Okay, fair enough, but that's one of the ideas. So in general, those are materials or colors that we're dealing with.
Right, so everybody understands, it's like a brick panel, it's not individual bricks going up with like larger panels.
So we'll have the appearance that it is.
Right.
That walkway between West Union and Hunter,
Yes.
is that, I mean, if the general public starts using that as a walkway, is that an issue with the owners? Will there be
I really don't know
trespassing
how to
signs put up
handle
at
it.
some point?
I'm not seeing no trespassing signs,
Yeah,
but,
okay.
it does invite people to
Sure,
come
yeah.
to what is a private space, so I'm not sure what the best way to handle that is, and what does the city feel about that?
I mean, I think you're gonna see that the general public will probably use it as a cut through. You have a, green space in the middle, you got a park on the other side. So, I mean, it is going to be inviting.
Mhm.
I would rather see it left open and be open for public thoroughfare. We could talk about, public easement through that space, if that's something that I would ask you what your thoughts would be. I mean, obviously, you don't have to answer now, but
Yeah, we'll talk about easement, but I
Think
don't see the necessity or the need for a public easement. And I definitely, naturally, it will attract use through there, but, it's gonna be up to the property owners how, they necessarily want to deal with that.
Right, so I mean, we've kind of like been shareholders with everybody in bringing this to the fruition. Now we're concerned about, and we all are concerned about, how is the property going to be used? Right, so the owner has had concerns about that from the beginning. I'm not sure what the best way to handle that is. I hate to put up a fence, but maybe it's gonna need that.
Yeah, I don't like to
I don't know.
see fences and gates and all that either.
Yeah, because if it's a private property and private park, and this is really kind of like their private front yard, I don't know, I'm just, expounding upon it.
Don't the other businesses have certain like signage for
Residents only or something.
residents only, regulating, you'll be towed at your own risk, like that's what the other like larger
Yeah.
lots do, I mean.
I don't want to see a lot of signage cluttering
Yeah.
up what's going to be a very nice amenity though.
People are gonna
With
love-
Residents
they're gonna
only
love
as
it.
opposed to no
Exactly.
trespassing, sounds a lot nicer.
And these are the types of things that I'm asking, so sure.
Yeah,
There's also the potential of having it, maybe a gate only on the park interior side, which wouldn't be as visible as having a gate at the street.
Sure.
So if you gated off
Yeah.
one side and the other, people might still walk through, but it might just deter, it might look like it's not open.
I like that idea.
I mean, it'd just be like a swinging thing or something.
It's not a high traffic walking area, but that could be because the bridge is not up right now.
yeah,
Hmm. Good
I
point.
think mostly the draw would probably be the fact that there's a park on the other side of that.
Okay. I think we're gonna leave that.
and
So the
I know
next
we
meeting
talked
will be-
about the church, the restoration of the church, and the last time we spoke, it was, you weren't sure the number of units that you were thinking about there. Is that still staying, is that still at 3 right now?
We're 3 right now, yes.
3 right now, okay.
So 3 units, and then, yes, we're starting the exterior of the church, we're working with SHPO. And that process is probably gonna end up being more along building construction
Okay.
detail time. And, applying for a building permit,
Right,
work with SHPO for that, they start tax credits for the exterior, upgrades, et cetera.
so let's talk about the parking. Okay, so you have 2 new buildings, 3 units apiece, and you have the existing church that's being renovated to 3 units. So what were you, I'm trying to remember the total parking calculation was 18, is that what it worked out to be?
Do you know that, please?
Yes.
Is that just for the detached parking area, or is that
Well,
both?
that included, and then they have the parking on the site, so
It's total.
Okay, so, where are we there? So we have 18 stalls proposed, and the calculation was 9 apartments, 10 2 spaces, 18, that was total. Then we have 2 spaces, 10%, additional 1 space for each unit would be 21 spaces. We have 18 now, and the additional 3 would be on-street parking.
So what they're asking is for the waiver right now of the additional 3, providing the 18 and asking for the board to give
Because of
the nod that you would be favorable, that would be favorable.
Because of the proximity to city lot?
Correct.
Okay, and I also see that the county's recommendations is to waive visitor parking too, so.
Yeah.
All right. I'm okay with waiving. The rest of the board good? Karen?
It's reasonable.
Karen, you're
That-
Yeah, I think that some of those residential homes that are just attached on the right, the older ones where the old soda shop is, some of them don't, like, they're full property encompasses their lot. And I think that there's a lot of residential usage in that area right now.
On street.
Because it's forced, like they don't have. And then one of them is like a unit that has a couple apartments in it. It's on the, like, not on the park side.
Right.
The, like the brick building, but the one that detaches off of it, the white one. those are apartments, and those don't have like off-street parking.
Well, each of the units would have the designated parking.
Two
It would
spots.
be the guests, a friend coming to visit you that might not be able to park right there. They would
Yeah.
park on the street or in a public lot, walk. So each unit's gonna have their tandem parking spaces designated for them.
Is that, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah,
Kind of
just-
congested through there, but
Yeah,
it wouldn't be something that would be, just for the two occupants of each,
right,
they would still have their spots on site to do their parking.
yeah,
So, so you're good with waiving then?
yeah.
Okay,
I'm good with leaving, because like you're saying, like the people that actually live there already have,
Yeah,
they're included
Yeah.
in the numbers. It's just for the overspill of guests,
right.
but it's, comes and goes like everybody else.
Yep,
Got it.
exactly.
Thank you, sorry.
no,
No, that's
that's
okay.
certainly glad you brought that up. Okay, so we're good with waiving,
Yep, so consent to waive. 3.
and that takes care of one of the modifications, right?
Yeah, do you want to, did you have a chance to look at the county comments? I forwarded them to you?
I did.
Okay,
Which one would you like to address?
let's start at the top.
All right,
And just for the board members, they're in your folders if you didn't see them already. There's a copy.
all right, so the first one is the subdivision, all easements will need to be noted on the final subdivision plat and site plan. Your attorney's already working on that, we're gonna look at it on the city's end, right? So that's,
Yeah,
that's gonna be taken care of.
Yes, before we page the attorney, I want to make sure we have the table set, right?
Yep. Lighting details are absent, from the materials provided for review. You've illustrated that tonight, so that's
Yes.
taken care of, right, to satisfaction of staff?
Right, we'll review the lighting plan. We haven't seen that
Yeah,
before, so we'll take a look at that at staff level.
Yeah.
And so when we get to the next meeting, we'll be ready to have recommendations on, that it's addressed.
yeah. Do I need to read their recommendations in the record? We can just say that they've been addressed.
Well, we'll do that at the next meeting, but we actually be voting on each.
I would like to address the accessibility comment.
Yes.
Because accessibility, so the only thing that needs to be accessible are the sidewalks. The property itself, because of what it is, because there are 3 families, do not require accessibility. And there's no way we can do this project with the terrain like accessible. So
We agree.
it's just not required.
And we had a discussion on that today.
Wonderful.
So, so,
Wonderful. I respect his comments here, but this is simply not required.
the parking,
The stack parking, we discussed that.
just discussed that, we done with the waiver, for the additional space. And sustainability,
Energy stretch code is new to you, so
you've got infrastructure that's gonna be installed for that, for the charging station, right?
yes, you have to make provision for it. You don't have to actually provide it, but you do have to make provisions for it, and that's part of the
Sorry. So we'll make at the next meeting, it looks like everything's been taken care of then with this, we'll do our official addressing the county comments.
Yes.
And when we do the final. We're at the finish line right there, we got that.
Getting there.
And, when you first came with this proposal, you and your client, I mean, all these parcels all over the place and how you tied everything in together, and make it work and, taking everybody's comments and recommendations and making it happen. Thank you, it was good.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been how many months have we been doing this?
Been a while. 18.
Yeah. Almost couple of years.
Almost 18.
I mean, I guess you can look at it, it's a big project, right? So you know,
So, it's community minded. We wanted to
Yeah.
engage this board and all the others, and we want to make sure we're doing the right project. So thank you so much for your
and I,
comments
and I hope that,
and your patience.
and I hope that your experience with our board and staff has been, and court counsel has been favorable. And I know it's a lengthy process at sometimes, and you think, man, what am I doing?
Yes.
But I said,
Resoundingly,
we're at
yes.
the finish line. It's gonna be a great project, so.
Thank you.
Do we taking care of lot line revisions and deletions next? Or can we?
Yeah, we'll do them, everything, and if we can get that, as much done as we can
Yeah.
in advance, we'll do it all. But I think, right now, everything's really working, coming to play. Really happy with the progress so far, I want to continue in that vein. I don't know if board members have any specific questions I want to, ask now. If there's any detail that you don't see that you want to see explored, or if anything that you don't like, or even something that you really do like, if you want to make a comment, now is the time.
I just think it's great where this has wound up, because I remember the first presentation to where it is now. So it's just like what Wayne had said. Yeah, this is great.
Thank you.
We've been calling the project, you just thought of something, we've been calling this Union Church Hill. I mean, is there gonna be like a sign that says Union Church Hill? I mean, is this going to be known as that kind of a?
I wasn't thinking that,
Okay.
but, obviously, if,
I was just a curiosity question, if there was gonna be any kind of sign
It's an interesting
to
question.
identify if this is the project, this is what it is. Just something to think about.
Can I just ask one question before, back to that walkway, that's the staircase up
yes.
along the back? How high are those, is that kind of, it looks to me like you're going to be walking and there's going to be walls on each side of you.
Correct.
How tall are those walls going to be?
Commercial requires 42 minutes.
Okay, so it's just gonna be like basically for a handrail.
So you come up 42 inches and your handrail is between 34 and 38 inches. So the handrail will be set below the guardrail.
Okay.
I think she and I kind of thought that too. It looked like they were above a person's head, like you would be walking in between
Well,
two.
No.
My initial thought was that that's a sort of a blind spot for,
Problems.
potential.
42 inches above the finished step or landing, potentially someone could be there.
Those are solid.
So there are, and very good point, which is why we wanted to be here tonight. So with that, we're not married to it. If we need to change it out for something that is a little more see-through, okay, translucent, whether that is cable rail or whether that is cable fiber. I don't know, it might be cable.
Okay, I'm always sensitive to sort of these hidden dark.
And I agree, and that's not gonna be dark, it will be lit.
That one acorn light, the position of that does illuminate that stairway, right?
Yes, but you do have,
Yes and no.
you do have several, lighting is a science, right? So by the time you get there, you really find out what it's working on. And when you're coming up and just sort of creating this little cavernous channel to get up there, steps and landings, it meets or doesn't meet. Now, within that, my intent would be that, Jeff, can you please pull that rendering back up of the rear stair? The other one? No.
This one?
Yeah.
You know what, for our use here, sure. So this is obviously solid, right? So it's solid masonry. So what we could do is where we are here is bring this down and cut this down so that you've got more of this look continued through here, if that's something that you prefer to see.
I agree
Totally,
with that.
I like the idea maybe of the solid along the back and then something that's a little just more see-through from the street.
On the front side. Sure. Okay,
Either way, or if you. want-
I'm comfortable with that as well.
And that'll provide some more illumination, natural illumination going through that. right?
Natural light, and then on the backside here, obviously we have these light poles here, but they only provide so much distance and so much throw. So, you know, along this interior side, there would need to be some sort of at least pedestrian illumination for those steps as well. I'm actually considering, I don't know if you like the idea, but I was considering, because we do need to put a handrail in, they now make LED illuminated handrails from the underside so that it illuminates the area and you don't have an extra fixture that's there. That may be something to consider. Maybe we continue with the, you know, pedestrian wall packs. I don't know if you have a preference, or if you say either one is good, it's fine too.
I kind of like Kyla's idea.
As far as lighting, whatever.
Oh, as far as, in addition to opening it up like you?
Yeah. I
Well,
think-
I would say
Yeah, both.
some-
Yeah, no,
some way
okay.
through the stairs.
Okay. So we'll do that, and I think that should probably tie everything up. Unless there are any other questions or comments. So
No.
my next steps then would be, we're gonna take this, congeal what we did tonight, finalize everything. I obviously need, I don't know how much time the attorneys and the surveyors are going to need to write up all this documentation, and obviously, I think, and you tell me if this is the appropriate process, would be to submit that to council for review, and then you know, both attorneys can go back and forth and hash it out and come back,
For the next
and then come back. for the
I
next
mean,
meeting.
if it doesn't happen, that you have all those things in line for the easements and stuff at the next meeting, we can certainly make that a condition of the approval too, you know?
That'd be great. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
That's no excuse to drag your feet.
No, sir, no, sir. Well, I will tell you, the surveyors, I don't know if you've been out there, surveying is
Yeah.
6 to 8 weeks before they can do anything, but I'll try to do something obviously before that. And then it is, what it is. We're gonna figure it out.
Yeah, and if you can get us the lighting plan, get us those kinds of things now, we can start at least checking them off,
Will do.
going through that. That would
We
be
will get our
great.
submission together for you with all of those items. I
Yep.
want to finalize some of these things. Do you want our material selections now, or do you want to do that during the building permit
Let's
process?
do as much of that now.
Okay, we'll put all that together.
Okay, good, great.
I think that's it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you all very much.
So Sage, you have a motion to table this? Okay, so Sage has a motion to table.
Okay, so we're doing all of them together?
Yes, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16.
Google all of them.
Is there a second on that? Second from Matt Gillis. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Okay, you're gonna have to.
Thank you, folks.
sign all of these.
Thank you.
And you're the last one, aren't you?
These are tough acts to follow, I gotta tell you.
Why, thank you.
I got nothing
You'll be
explaining.
fine. You'll do just fine. You're very nice to work with.
Sign everything.
Oh, we got a bunch of them.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, item number 17, written curb cuts. 45 Stavan Street, request for a wide curb cut. Section block and lot is 48.82 -3-37, secret determination zone R1, Ward 6. Vincent Whipple is the applicant owner. You are not Vincent.
No, I'm
What's your name, please?
Jacqueline.
Okay. All right, so you can probably be brief. What are you looking to do?
So if you see where the curb cut is on the left-hand side here,
Mhm.
it's an extremely narrow driveway. It's one car width. But the cut comes in where the Bilko doors are.
Yeah.
When you pull in, it's tough to not hit the Bilko doors.
Okay.
Tenants, it's a wrinkle. Tenants complain about hitting the Bilko doors. They complain because they can't get, you gotta move your car, let somebody out.
Right.
They park on the street, but they don't like it in the winter because they can't see the curb, and they're complaining about hitting the Velcro doors on their tires. They've been there about 2 years, but the tenants we had before had 2 adult children, so there were 4 cars, and I hated it because it looked like
Yeah,
a used car lot. And you'll see the grass where they drive on the grass. So next to the garage there was, a bunch of shrubbery and stuff that we took down. So he's really looking to just cut somewhere between 24 to 36 inches to the right-hand side of the driveway. And if we have to, we'll replace it on this side to make it illegal. You know what I'm saying? To make it the legal width that we're allowed to have. And I don't know what to do with the concrete on the sidewalk, or the blacktop on the sidewalk was done by a previous tenant. So I don't know if we have to pull that up.
what's your material gonna be in the front?
They're gonna blacktop, they're gonna widen the blacktop, they're
Yeah.
gonna make it. This has got a little bit more of a drawing on it, so they'll make it. Bring it in and they'll widen it back, so it'll go next to the garage, so they can have a park, park a car there, or.
So the driveway's gonna get widened going up that line.
So this will have to be cut. here,
Right, so this end where you see the cut up there is going to go, they're looking 2 to 3 feet. I would say, I don't have an issue with going the 3 feet at the curb and then angling it in like they're showing. So you have the flare at the end. I would do the same thing on the other side though, and then just kind of bring the curb,
Over,
right.
bring it,
in a little bit, right?
So you want,
taking this piece
and moving it
kind of
over.
moving it over
Okay.
here and doing that. I mean, this are not gonna change.
so you're not
anything.
gonna need a wing on the left side then?
So no, there would be a slight wing here.
Okay.
You want a wing on the,
On both sides.
You want a wing on both sides.
on
You
both
don't
sides,
want-
but you want the curb replaced on. You want what's taken off here, move
I don't
that.
even know that you have to do that.
I mean,
That might just be part of the
Yeah.
link. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
I would
that's
just,
kind of a lot of work for a
Yeah.
foot for.
it's a little bit, would you say it was 10 feet is normal? It's shorter than 10 feet, the problem is, it's this way, so it
Right.
lines up with the Vilco doors.
How many times have you hit the Bilko door?
I have hit it.
You're
It's,
risking cutting the tire up too, and
well, the tenants hate it, plus, it's damaging the Vilco doors.
yeah.
We have pretty good tenants in there now. And then we had an issue a couple of years ago where luckily they didn't hit the tenant's car, but they were parked on the street. It was snowing, they weren't supposed to be, somebody came down the street and went off the road and took out the front porch. Well, luckily they hit the tenant's car that day, so I didn't have to listen to that. But,
So is it gonna be blacktopped all the way back?
it's gonna be black, yes.
Okay.
So what's currently there is gonna be covered over and it's gonna be extended out
Okay.
and it'll be blacktopped all the way back to the side of the garage.
So you have-
sidewalk the sidewalk area can't be blacktop.
Right, it already is from somebody else.
Right.
Well, do you mean the side, because the access could be blacktopped. If you were to redo your sidewalks to the right and left of the driveway, that would not be allowed to be.
So we can, the
blacktopped.
access can be
Right.
blacktopped.
Right,
Okay.
you could have blacktop from, or were you saying to have concrete in that little space between? the
Yeah,
sidewalk
I have to
and-
double check that, because I think where the sidewalk actually is walking with. Technically, they can have blacktop here and here, but I think this should
The
be
sidewalk
concrete.
has to be
Yeah,
concrete
that's-
or bluestone
But we can double check, but that's my understanding,
And
is
that's
that this has
to
to be
define the
concrete.
pedestrian walk.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Might wanna just do.
my question is, do we have to do it, should, should I have them, because it goes both ways. The person who lived there before us, the sidewalks, I don't know if they took them out or they blacktopped over top, but it goes down to the end of the property line each way. The
Right.
blacktop does.
If you're not touching what's there, you're okay,
Okay,
all right? If you are redoing the driveway though, you
Okay.
might want to like do the blacktop from the sidewalk back to
Like keep-
where you're, all the way back to where your
Railing,
garage.
right?
And then
The
out
newel
from
poster.
the front, just go out concrete.
okay. Oh, I see what you're saying.
You'll just have to let.
But you don't have to go all the way down, you don't have to do your entire sidewalk over.
All right, so just from the edge of the sidewalk and the
Right,
anything, make that
Right.
concrete. The wings, just the wing area till it gets to the
so
driveway.
right, so,
Just like from here.
right. This line would be this would be
And
concrete,
then the wing, yeah.
right, that would be concrete, and then this can all be, because you're redoing the whole driveway, you said,
Yeah.
right? All blacktop, so this area all the way back, and then that can be all blacktop.
Okay,
Yep,
okay.
and pitch it away from your house. And that tree's gonna stay, right? You're not dead.
It's not my choice, but yes,
We like trees.
I know. So the wings on both sides. That's okay. Sidewalk leave. Until we decide we're gonna fix it. To the left and the right.
And DPW will need to be contacted for a permit. You'll get a decision letter with this in it, okay?
Is Anita an in-law of yours?
Yes, Anita is my sister-in-law. She is Vincent's sister. Are you related to Susie or Pam or?
That's my sister, those are my sisters.
Ah. I know Pam.
Okay,
Billy retired.
well, yeah, he's got, I think he's got a couple days left maybe, but he's going.
My husband sent me a picture. He works at Sonotec and Billy delivers there. So he's on vacation now, but he made a plaque. So
All
he
right.
took me a picture, he took a picture of it.
All right.
Um,
All right, so you've got, yeah, you'll get a letter
okay,
and,
Okay.
all right.
that's it.
Well, we're gonna,
Oh,
yeah. So under seeker, this is a type 2 action. No further review of the board is required. At this time, I will make a motion to approve item number 17 with board policy 6. That's the only policy. New blacktop driveway, concrete
property line.
on the property line out to the street. It's
You're
about,
approving extending 3 feet
you should read that whole thing.
to widen the curb,
Okay.
and then DPW permit.
Copy that.
And that'll all be in the letter.
And that is a motion. Do I have a second? Who should we have second that? Andrew?
I'll just go first, just to.
We'll have Andrew second that one. And, all right, all in favor? Aye, opposed, carried. I'll tell Pam that I'm actually today.
Tell Pam I said hi.
All right.
I saw Susie the other night at passport night in the town of Ulster.
Oh, well, I was there too.
Were you?
Yeah.
Motion
I had to leave because I didn't bring a check. I'm not a check. So I had my stuff, so they said, here, get your ticket and mail it in.
All in favor?
Oh, was that the, sure? Yeah, it's good. All right. Great.